Welcome to today's episode of Behind the Signs, and we are chatting with Shar.Pazand of Identity Group. They specialize in ADA sign packages. So Shar, welcome. Thank you so much for spending some time with us. I'm excited about chatting about how sign shops can get into doing more ADA sign projects with you as a partner. So why don't you tell us about yourself and about Identity Group, and then we'll go from there.
Thanks, Joe, for having me. I'm so excited to be here. I'm really a fan of your show, so this is really exciting for me.
Yay.
I work with Identity Group. We're one of the largest interior signage and visual decor companies in the country. We really just specialize in taking companies' projects, whether it's a rebrand project, or whether it's a renovation, and really helping from start to finish. And so we can be your partner for the entire project, or if you just say, hey, Shar, we just need a little bit here, support here and there, we can do that too.
That's great. So I was on your website for what felt like a really long time. It's so huge. There's so many resources there at identitygroup.com. You know, for today, I'm thinking about, say, a new sign shop, or maybe even an electric sign shop that now is, you know, faced with the opportunity to do the whole package, or maybe a smaller sign shop that wants to dip their toe into, you know, ADA signage packages. Where do you start? So if you could kind of tell us the process and on how they would work with you, and whether it's design support or whatever, that would be great.
That's, and I think you bring up a great point. It can seem really daunting. There's a lot of code to sort through, and if you're not familiar, myself being newer in the industry and having looked through it, I could totally attest to that. And what I think we're really good at is working with the customer, whether it's providing resources for them if they want to look through it on their own, or we've done tutorials and classes for our customers. But we really want to be that resource, that guide, that friend that can walk you through it so it doesn't feel as scary. Because the truth is, once you get used to it and once you kind of sort through it a little bit, you start to become more familiar and it doesn't seem as scary. It's just realizing too that there's, certain things as you go through it, like with, font sizes and how far it has to be, up from the bottom of the sign, and, where it has to be located adjacent to the door. And once somebody walks you through it and you go, okay, if I was in a wheelchair and I was going up to the door, like, where would it have to make sense? You start to pick it up pretty quickly.
Yeah.
So it's really great. And so how somebody would work with us is, you can send it to us, just a request. Hey, this is what we're looking for. Message schedules are always, loved and admired by our team. Hey, this is the sign type that we need, the quantities. And we're not really sure where to go from there. And so that's when we pick up the phone and we can chat with you and say, okay, let's talk through this a little bit. So you don't have to feel alone, is what I would say to the sign company.
So if I'm a small sign company, let's say I'm working on a smaller project, I have a local architect I'm working with, and we kind of nail down the exterior sign, what that looks like. And of course, we're, with the architect, they're very particular about materials or look and feel, because obviously they want that to be cohesive with the architectural features of the building.
Yeah.
So we get this, we design one room sign, a restroom sign, but then you look at the plans and go, oh my gosh, how do we begin to even put a schedule together? Where, are we going to miss a sign? And so do you guys assist with all that? Because that's the part that seems super scary, right? Like, how do you work through that?
Totally. And you're right. Once you see one sign is easy, and then you look at, you're like, I don't want to miss anything. We have a team internally that does wayfinding by looking at blueprints, and they're experts. I mean, they do this all day long, and they're so experienced, and they can look at a floor plan and say, hey, we want to make sure we're not missing any code compliant signage, back of house, front of house. Hey, you really need these signs, XYZ signs, or else they will not let you open the property. So those are really important, right? So, so we can walk you through that. And what's really great too for the design side is, for some of the smaller companies that may not be working with large architectural firms, is if they want us to, we can actually design the signage as well. And so
great.
Design concept and create the whole design, the whole sign family from it. So if you say, I like this look, or hey, I don't even have a look, I want something standard, we have a standard sign brand that we can use as well. a design that we can use for everything.
I saw that you guys had a lot of already kind of pre-designed programs on your website. So I think that's great. That certainly makes it easy for someone that's just getting into ADA signage. So you said two words that would scare the living bejesus out of me that I want to talk about for a second.
Uh-oh.
Code compliance.
Yeah.
So, how do you go about researching that in your area? So, you're a new sign shop and you want to get into this. Where do they start with that?
That's a great question. We are a part of an identity group, a lot of different industry associations and organizations. One that I find really helpful is the SEGD website.
Hmm.
They have a white paper, an ADA white paper, and I don't even know how many pages. It's got a whole list of a ton of pages about compliance and things like Braille and raised characters, exemptions, all of the nitty gritty. If you need to do on your computer, you could do like a control F to
Hmm.
find what word you're looking for. But it's super helpful. SEGD really made it super easy. And of course, we could do a training. We just did a training last month for a company where we get all of their team. We did a Zoom training for them. It was super helpful, and
That's
they're
great.
able to ask questions. Yeah, so we made it really personable and easy, and we like to make it easy, but we know it might take a little bit. So
Yeah, no, that's great because I mean the more that you can be involved with the sign shops and kind of hand holding, especially in the beginning, that goes a long way in helping them be successful in selling these kinds of packages for sure. So do
yeah.
you guys? I know you're as an outside salesperson, you're probably in the field a lot in sign shops. Do you help with things like samples if a sign company needs to get a sample from one of their customers, or have you ever done site surveys actually with folks too?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, as far as samples, we could definitely get samples, whether it's like an example of a sign or just a material, or hey, we need something that we can show our customer, what this would look like with a certain fabrication method we're interested in.
Hmm.
So, usually we can send those samples out, and it's pretty easy. We also offer prototypes, so those are usually paid. But what's nice
Okay.
about a prototype is we actually can build it, we can R&D it, and then the customer would actually get an example of what it would look like if we went to production tomorrow. So
Oh,
that's
that's great.
yeah, and so there's a charge for that, but it's totally worth it versus going into production, getting a whole order, and then we realize all of us like, maybe this isn't what the customer wants.
Yeah, 500 signs later. You know, all
Yeah.
right. All right. So I've got the design, I get the design sort of concept done, and now I'm gonna reach out to you guys. What I just if so do they actually would sign shops actually have you as an account rep, or is there a project manager that's assigned to the project, or how does that work? If I was to pick up the phone and call Identity Group today, like who do I ask for, and how do I get started on getting some quotes?
Sure. So we have some amazing team members. If you were to call today or go online to the chat, we've got a great team at our customer service department, and they would really get all of your information and then they would send it over to the correct salesperson. And so in sales, we've got a great team. We're really divided based on the part of the country as of right now. And so it's really fun when we get a new customer to come in and they're like, we don't know what we're doing or we're going to do this ADA stuff. We just do exterior, or we've only done XYZ. Like, can you help us? And it's really fun to create that partnership and that bond with them,
Oh, that's
because
good.
we are that advocate for them. We are that person that can go to our production floor and say, hey, our customer is looking for this for their customer, and we're really the eyes and ears of these sign shops to our production team, to make sure they're getting what you maybe can't just get in a simple email. Because
Right.
signs should be simple, but they're not, and
They're
they're
not.
fun, and they're but
Yeah.
there's so many different dimensions to them, and it's fun.
Well,
So that's
great.
yeah, and you also do get a project manager once you go to once we get a PO and the drawings, whatever you have, you're assigned a project manager. We have a small yet mighty team, and they're all super experienced, and they ask so many great questions and things that some people might just say, oh, just I don't know the answer to that. They'll walk you through it so it doesn't feel as daunting.
Well, that's great. And that was my next question too, is how, so once the design is approved, the sign shop gets the designs approved, everything's good to go. How does the ordering process go? And what maybe are some of the timeline expectations? I guess that really depends on the size of the project. But
Yeah.
so do you guys require deposits or lines of, how do you set up terms or all that? It would be great to hear how you work there.
Yeah, that's a great question. It all varies. I know that's a vague answer, but it all varies depending on the customer. And, a lot of times our customers will send us a PO. They'll say, like, yes, we love your quote. It's great. Like, let's do it. So they'll send over a PO and any kind of drawings or specs that they have. And then we just put them into our system. We do a little magic and we get them through our process. Usually production drawings are first. And this is in architectural signs. We have a whole hospitality team that does it a little differently. So for hotels and things like that. Hotels actually will create the design concepts for you to choose from before we even go to the PO process.
That's
So it's
great.
a whole other thing. Yeah, it's really great to be able to say, especially for a small sign shop, like, here are your designs to choose from, Mr. or Ms. Customer. And
Yeah.
it makes you feel like you have the support of a big company behind you,
Yeah.
which is great. So in our architectural signs, you send in the PO, the drawings. We get them to our graphics department. So they actually build the drawings based on spec, so based on how we're going to produce it. And then once you take a look, you ask any questions, or we do the back and forth if there is needed any clarification. And then once you approve it, we send it to the floor. Bada bing, bada boom. Usually, sometimes there's questions or there are concerns, but for the most part, it goes through the door and then send you tracking info, and it's on its way. We can even blind ship to your customer.
Oh, that's great. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
so they
good.
don't have to know you. A lot of our customers, they don't even usually disclose that they go through us. So they appear to be this large sign shop, but they're just like a mom and pop, which is wonderful. I love
Yeah.
mom and pop shops. They're great.
Yeah, most of the sign industry,
Yeah,
30,000 sign shops in the US, and almost
yeah,
all of them are, under $1 million. So
yeah.
they're all small, but well, that, all that was really, really helpful. So I appreciate you spending a little bit of time with us today. So and we'll put all this in the notes too, the code white paper, the code compliance white paper, links and all that stuff. And then we'll put, how to get a hold of you. And
Yeah.
as far as putting your contact information, I'll put all that in the notes. And then I don't know if you guys work on territories, so maybe you could, at least
We'll
guide
pass
people in the
along.
right direction.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or we'll just say, screw it. Everyone has to order everything from Char. That's
Everyone
it.
orders
And
through me.
yeah.
Exactly.
No one nothing goes to anybody else.
And one thing I did want to mention that we didn't touch on is that our new part of our website, you can actually, if a customer just wanted to go online and order, they can go to the shop now part of our website, and they don't even have to go through a salesperson if they don't want to, which is
Oh,
super
great.
helpful. And we have our new 3D printing, which is amazing. You
Yeah.
have to check it out.
Actually, well, before we close, is there any other really cool stuff about your company that maybe people like 3D printing signs or I think I had read something too. You're using a lot of recyclable plastics and all that stuff. So
Yeah.
yeah. So any final,
Please, how more time do we have? Um,
whatever. Talk on.
no, we have 3D printing. We're offering something right now where if you send us the artwork, we can actually, and within a certain size parameter, we can actually get your signs out within 5 business days,
Wow.
which is amazing, especially for those buildings that need to open right now and we need signage, whether it's standard or temporary. That's a new initiative that we're pretty much the industry leaders on right now, which is very exciting. And then we have a product that's 100% certified recycled acrylic. There are other products out there, but the only ones right now that are certified. And we do
Wow.
a recycling program of the acrylic, which is amazing.
Yeah, I love that. I love
Yeah,
that.
we try to be green and help out the
Yeah.
environment too. Yeah,
Save the planet.
yeah, I know about it.
Good.
So yeah,
Well, I honestly think that having a partner like you, an identity group, is just a win big time situation for any sign shop. So I hope this video encourages people to not be afraid of the big, huge, daunting
Don't be
ADAs. Don't be afraid.
Yeah.
Just go for it. Go out, design them, sell them. Installs on ADA signage. Once the drawings are done, it's really pretty easy to install the signs. So All right. Well, great. Well, Shar, again, thank you so much for spending a few minutes with us today, and hopefully you'll get some nice contacts out of this. And anyway, I
Yeah.
know it's been really helpful for the sign shops too. So we really appreciate your time.
Thank you so much for having me. Hope to
All right.
hear from you all.
All right. Take care.
You too.
Bye. If you are interested in being featured on Behind the Signs, we would love to connect with you and hear about the unique ways that you are working in the sign industry. Please reach out to us with a direct message on our Facebook group, Behind the Signs.